Welcome to the deep dive. We explore fascinating ideas, really get to their core, and figure out what they actually mean for you. Today, we're diving into something pretty radical. It challenges, well, our whole understanding of how we perceive the world and our health. What if everything you thought you knew about illness was, I don't know, missing a key piece? Or maybe a piece we just can't see? That's the kind of wild idea we're digging into, based on three sources. Master's Insight, hashtag 171, The Veiled Poison, hashtag 172, The Master's Sensory Seal on Toxins, and The Veil of Toxin Blindness. So our mission here is to unpack this really mind-bending concept, this sensory seal. We want to look at the, frankly, huge implications for health, for medicine, and ultimately what this could mean for your life, your well-being. Okay, let's unpack this. The sources put forward this truly wild idea that humans are literally sealed from perceiving toxins. What does that actually mean?
That's a really big claim. The master's sensory seals, they call it. It's not just saying we lack knowledge of the right tech. It's presented as something more fundamental, like a built-in lack of perception.
So, like, innate.
Kind of, yeah. Think about it like this. You can see a poisonous snake, right? Obvious danger. But you probably can't smell the formaldehyde in, say, your furniture or cleaning stuff.
Right. No alarm bells go off.
Exactly. Or you see heavy rain, but you don't see or feel the microscopic air pollution particles mixed in with it. The sources literally call it a perception lock or a sensory blockade.
A blockade suggesting we're actively stopped from sensing these things.
That's the implication, that we're somehow prevented from recognizing these dangers, even though they're all around us.
And this seal, it sounds like it goes beyond just, smell or sight. The sources say it messes with our thinking, too, our decisions.
It does. They suggest it impacts our intellect, how we make choices, even our gut feelings about what's harmful.
Okay, give me an example.
We'll take PM 2.5 pollution. Intellectually, we might know it's bad for us. We read the reports.
Sure.
But do we feel the danger when we're stuck in traffic? Or spray perfume? Or crank up the AC? Probably not.
No, you just do it.
Right. There's a disconnect. The knowledge is there, maybe, but it doesn't translate into a felt sense of immediate threat. They call it a perception confusion barrier.
A confusion barrier?
Yeah.
Huh. So knowledge isn't enough if you can't perceive the threat directly.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
And it leads to this other provocative idea. Could this limitation be why science hasn't found certain things?
Like what?
Well, the sources specifically mention the idea that car air causes aging. They argue it hasn't been proven, not because scientists aren't smart enough, but because humans fundamentally lack the ability to feel that slow, chronic poisoning effect, the day-in, day-out accumulation that leads to aging. Our senses are just sealed off from it.
Wow. Okay, that really reframes things. It's not just about missing immediate warnings, but missing the long-term damage, too. Which brings us to the next point. This seal isn't just about quick detection. It's about hiding the slow burn, right?
Exactly. According to these texts, this master seal prevents us from feeling the chronic toxin accumulation.
Chronic toxin accumulation.
Yeah. So what happens is people only see the end result, the disease diagnosis, the symptoms showing up, but they don't perceive the slow, gradual process, the internal damage that was happening all along.
And the sources link this directly to aging?
They do. It's quite a radical take. They present this chronic accumulation as the actual root cause of human aging.
So it's not just time passing, it's accumulated toxins.
That's the perspective offered. You're not just getting old, your body is reaching a point where it can't handle the toxic load it's been accumulating unnoticed for years.
Okay, that's a lot to take in just on a personal level. But then the sources zoom out, don't they, to the medical system itself. What does this sensory seal mean for doctors, for medicine as a whole? If we can't perceive toxins, how does that affect how we treat illness?
Well, this is where they introduce the concept of toxic blindness.
Toxic blindness. Sounds serious.
It's described as this: collective global blind spot within the medical community. The implication is pretty huge, that the entire medical system might be operating on a fundamentally flawed premise about what disease is.
Okay, how so? What's the flaw, according to them?
It leads to this really startling claim that all those common diseases we know, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, lung issues, dementia, skin problems, all of them, they're not actually caused by different things like we're usually told, gene mutations for one, diet for another, heredity, immune problems.
Right, that's the standard explanation.
Instead, these sources propose they're all just different manifestations of the same thing, accumulated toxins overwhelming different parts of the body.
Whoa! Okay, that flies in the face of, well, most modern medicine.
It absolutely does. And they explain why this happens. They say the medical knowledge system is itself sealed.
Sealed how?
And what they describe as a maze of specialized attribution. Yeah, think of it like doctors are deep in this labyrinth. One path says tumor equals gene mutation. Another says high blood pressure equals heredity. Another, allergies equal immune system. They're so focused down their specific path, the sources argue, that they can't see the bigger picture, this potential underlying toxic cause that might link everything.
And this isn't saying doctors are negligent.
No, not at all. It's presented as the highest level of this sensory seal affecting everyone, including experts. It causes us, as a species, to mistakenly think all these diseases are separate and unrelated to ongoing toxin exposure.
So the knowledge itself, the medical training, the research, it's built within this sealed perspective.
That's the claim, that medical knowledge itself becomes, in their words, misleading knowledge.
Misleading how? Can you give specifics?
Sure. They point out things like medical schools don't teach about toxin accumulation saturation points. You won't find that in the curriculum. Or medical journals, they say, aren't really discussing the long-term effects of inhaling ultrafine particles like PM 0.1. And hospital equipment. It's all designed to treat the results. The tumor, the blocked artery, the failing kidney, not the potential toxic source that caused the problem over decades.
So there's a mechanism at play, a cognitive elimination mechanism. What does that mean?
It acts like a mental filter. It allows doctors and us to see the surface stuff, the cancer cells, the allergic reaction, the swelling, the pain.
The symptoms.
Exactly, the symptoms, the manifestations. But this mechanism actively filters out or prevents perception of the deeper underlying toxic cause. It's not about lack of intelligence. It's like a built-in perceptual bias.
Which leads, they say, to this kind of weird situation, like a strange, unspoken agreement among doctors everywhere.
Yeah, that's how they phrase it, that doctors almost never really talk about, research, or treat toxins as the primary cause.
Instead, they use other labels.
Right. About genetics, aging, immune imbalance, hormone imbalance, environmental stress, maybe anxiety, or even just bad luck.
But not, you've accumulated too many toxins from the air you breathe every day.
Pretty much never. And crucially, the sources claim doctors don't even have the standard tools or methods to measure this supposed daily toxin intake or long-term accumulation effectively. It's just outside the paradigm.
So this leads to a very different definition of what diseases like cancer or diabetes actually are.
It does. They present what they call a harsh truth, that things like cancer, diabetes, kidney failure, they aren't just sudden bad luck. They represent the end stage, a complete breakdown of an organ because it literally cannot cope with the toxic load anymore. It's reached its saturation point.
A collapse due to being overwhelmed by toxins over time.
That's the picture they paint. A systemic failure, not just an isolated disease popping up.
Now, we absolutely have to stress here, this view is considered marginal, unscientific by mainstream medicine. It's a radical departure.
Absolutely. It's important context. This is not the standard medical understanding.
But the sources don't just leave it there, do they? They offer a kind of counter-narrative, a hint that this seal might not be absolute.
Yes, there's a mention of a potential break in the seal, which ties into a specific invention.
Ah, the Air 6No maze purifier.
Exactly. This device, created by someone named Fuchi Wu, the claim is quite extraordinary. They say it was developed after the master figure temporarily unsealed Fuchi Wu's senses.
Unsealed his senses so he could suddenly perceive toxins.
That's the story presented, that he was given the ability to sense these normally hidden toxins, and based on that direct perception, he designed this purifier.
And what's it supposedly like for people who use it?
The description is pretty dramatic. People use it and allegedly experience genuinely clean air for the first time in their lives.
For the first time.
That's the claim. And with that comes this sudden realization, this aha moment, that they've always been breathing poisoned air without knowing it.
And things like sleep problems.
They report realizing their sleep issues weren't just stress or whatever, but were because they'd never actually slept in non-toxic air before. It's framed as a kind of sensory awakening, like the seal is lifted, even if just in that one context of air quality.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway here? If we step back and look at this whole deep dive, it seems to suggest that our medicine isn't necessarily primitive or unadvanced, but maybe it's just sealed off right at the starting point.
That's a good way to put it. The implication is that if the fundamental premise, the one ignoring pervasive, imperceptible toxins, is wrong, then the more we advance down that path, the further we might actually be getting from the real truth of illness.
Which leads to some pretty unsettling conclusions if these sources are onto something.
It really does. It raises critical questions. Like, if this is true, then maybe no current treatment can actually stop you from breathing in toxins every single day.
And no medicine can just magically erase decades of accumulated stuff inside you.
Right. And maybe no doctor working within that sealed system is ever going to tell you that what you really need isn't just another pill or surgery, but a truly non-toxic environment.
The sources kind of leave us hanging with this one final thought, don't they? It's pretty stark.
Very stark. They
Yeah.
basically say everyone gets sick, not because they don't live healthy enough, but because no one has ever lived in a clean world.
Wow, no one has ever lived in a clean world. That's a great rule. Definitely a concept to chew on. A truly different way to think about health, illness, and maybe even aging itself. And that's our deep dive for today.